here's another one in the Get Unstuck series. I'm going to tell you the story of somebody who needs to get unstuck and the advice I'd give her. Let me read it out. She says, I work as a graphic designer at a mid-sized marketing agency. On paper, things look pretty good. Steady 9 to 5, benefits, a decent salary, but I've been stuck. Every month, my paycheck is spoken for the moment it hits my account. Rent, car payments, groceries, subscriptions. It's like I'm on a treadmill. I want to explore freelancing and maybe even take a short sabbatical to reset, but I don't feel like I have the financial space to even try. I keep asking myself, is this it? Is this how it's supposed to be? Working every day. This person here on paper looks good. And maybe we've all been in that situation where on the outside, we look good. We have the perfect life. But in reality, we don't. Things aren't quite what they seem. Even though you're making a lot of money, it feels like you're literally on that treadmill that's the faster you move, the faster it moves. And so you kind of stay in place. The question is, what do you do? How do you make progress? How do you get out of that? I've got a few solutions for you, 3 actually. And I'll tell you what they are, and then we'll go into detail on each of them. The first I'd say would be to start simple with a low risk side hustle. The second would be to have a safety net built. And the third would be to talk to someone, whether it's a financial coach or even a savvy friend, because the act of even talking helps us get unstuck. So let me start with the first one. Start with a simple low risk side hustle. I always say when starting off, set the bar low. I'll give my example. When I started off as a voiceover artist, this is an industry that you have the potential to make a lot of money, jump in and figure it out. First of all, I was working a 9 to 5 like most people do when they leave university or when they enter the job market. Your 9 to 5 can help you launch. It can be your launching pad as opposed to it being the constraint. And quite frankly, there are a lot of skills I learned in my 9 to 5 that have been very beneficial to me as a voiceover artist. But when I started off in voiceover, I did it on the side, practicing my voice, my vocal techniques, the editing side of things, also learning the business side as I went along, whilst keeping my full-time job. It helped that at some point, I worked from home quite a bit, going into the office only twice a week, which then meant that I didn't have to spend time commuting. And so in my lunch break, as well as my time outside of work, I could go ahead and practice and audition for different voiceovers. I had made some money from my voiceover job that I then considered this could be something I could actually branch into. And for me, my going into voiceovers was one, because I really enjoyed it. But secondly, it was because I want to sell myself as a business person. So that would be my primary identity as opposed to a salaried employee, even though I wasn't quite there yet. That's where my mind has been going for a long time. Even if that's the identity you want to shift to, or you want that to be part of your identity, I'm trying to tell you that this is possible. When you've got to start thinking like that when you're not there yet. I decided to constantly put money aside. I definitely had a safety net built up from my salaried work. That meant that besides putting pensions aside via the company pension plan, living well below my needs, rather than buying a car that I would have to have car payments with, I decided to go for a car that was a lot cheaper and I could afford with my savings, just cash outright. That way I knew I had a car that would take me from A to B or A to C, and I didn't have to worry about constant payments. I think that freedom is very important. The delta between what you make and what you keep is freedom. That's how I looked at it. So I made sure I had a lot of freedom backed up. Then when it was time to make that jump, I didn't even make it immediately. When I decided I was going to leave, there were quite a lot of months in between me deciding and actually leaving, because the company I was working with, I wanted to leave well. And I wanted to make sure that I had enough of a runway such that if things didn't work out and I needed to get back into the job market, I wouldn't be stuck. So I created that safety net. And then I'd speak to a few people. I spoke to my parents because I do trust them. They can give good advice. So I spoke to them about it. Then I also spoke to some other people who were on the entrepreneurial route. Just helped me get a sense of what to expect. Even the idea of saving and putting money aside before making that jump was something I got from a cousin of mine actually, who is a contractor. They said, okay, all right, you might be earning a lot as a contractor, but you can't treat that as your everyday income. You need to put a lot of money aside and live closer to the means you're living on, even when you weren't paid as much, because that means that you have a lot saved up. So if, for example, contracts don't come in, you can still afford to live at a good level. I'd had that at the back of my mind when it came to actually doing this. I took that advice from that conversation we had. and put it into play. Those are the three things that I implemented. First, I made sure I had a side hustle that was simple enough for me. So I learned the skills. I did it in a low risk way. So I didn't quit my job. Don't jump yet. Definitely don't jump. And a side note, there's a lot of freedom in business when you know the business doesn't have to provide for your every need initially, because that can be quite a lot of pressure to put on a new business where it just has to work. Otherwise, you'll get issues. Because then what that then means is that you can't afford to take some risks. It can lead to making bad decisions. So it's good to have something else that gives you income, but still work on it. Again, this is very specific to people who already have 9 to 5s. To have your 9 to 5 as the thing you rely on, not your business. I hope that makes sense at the beginning. That will be very important. The three things. Start with a simple, low-risk side hustle. For me, that was voiceover because I already had some skills in it. The second was build a safety net. It can be a small safety net or a big one. I prefer having a lot of runway to give me some peace of mind in what I'm doing. So I know, okay, I have the gift of time to pursue what I'm looking to pursue. And then talking to somebody. And when it comes to talking to someone, speaking to somebody who can encourage you, somebody who can guide you, who's been there before. If you don't have that person in your life, maybe reach out to people. I know people who've reached out. For example, someone's reached out to my husband and they found him on LinkedIn. I knew he was into startups and he could offer startup consulting and he was able to help them. Just actually reach out to people who can give you some advice here and there. It can go a really long way. But those are three things I would say you can do to help you get unstuck in a situation where you feel like you're on a treadmill. A fourth thing, which is kind of underlying this, but I should probably call out, is the fact that you want to live well below your means. When you're single, it's a lot easier to do than when you're married. But even when you're married, you can have a conversation with your family, your spouse, and your children if you have to, and say, look, for what we want to do, we need to reassess how we spend money so that we can actually spend money on the things that are valuable to us. And then you can then look at ways of apportioning your income in such a way that it doesn't cost you as much. So if you can downgrade to a car where you're not paying so much in car payments, that's something you could consider. If you haven't gotten a car yet, that's something to consider. Buy something that is reliable, used, but good, and will get you from A to B and you can pay cash for, or you can save up and pay cash for rather than having lots of car payments. And find out other areas where you can reduce your costs such that you can put money aside towards this business, towards making it succeed. And again, you can start small. Start with something. If it's not voiceover like I did, you could also go for a digital product. You have a lot of knowledge that you've gained over the years. Create something that can teach somebody who was in your shoes 2-3 years ago that would have helped them move faster than maybe the rate that you did. So there are different things you can create. Go ahead and try that. I'll put a link in the description to a storefront that I'm currently using that could be helpful to people. This is a very easy way to get set up and start with it. So again, let me recap. Start low risk, number 1. Number 2, have a safety net. So financial safety net. Number 3, speak to somebody who can advise and support you. And number 4, which is the bonus, live within your means. It goes such a long way. Hope this video helped. And this is part of the Get Unstuck series. It's really important. I want you to get unstuck. My goal is to help you get unstuck and achieve the things that you never thought possible, because now you have the tools and the enablement to do all that you need to do. Check out the other videos, check those out, and I think they'll be encouraging to you to help you know how to get unstuck. In the Unstuck series, I'm going to just keep going through examples like these, which are people who are stuck in particular situations and how they got unstuck. Because I often find that the application of the idea is not just telling you this is what you should do, but actually applying it to certain scenarios can help you see where it resonates with you. And then you can see how you can take from that example, apply it to your life, and get unstuck. Take care. Bye.